Okay, I'm editing them in. Hello, and good day and good evening to everybody. We're still waiting like 2 minutes for other to join, and then we jump right into our last subject, branding. So are you guys, hello Monica, are you guys authors and wrote a book already? If you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, feel free. Monica, do you understand English? Do you speak English?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Not so perfect as you, but I do.
we can figure. So you're just done with your book series?
Yes.
Congratulations.
I'm very happy.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of work to do, and I just made 2 sketches for the cover. And I'm now really at the point to think how it is going on, because I know the cover is very important.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the covers today. So glad you could join.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's more people joining.
Do you want to wait another minute?
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes maybe sense. Yeah, still people coming in. Hello, everybody. Still waiting like a minute so everybody can join.
Do you want to get started?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay.
Okay, welcome to our last webinar in our series of 3 webinars. We talked about how to find your readers. Then the second webinar was all about the technical stuff like keyword research, how to position yourself. And today we're talking about the branding, which is the cover design and the post design for the social media marketing. If you haven't watched any of the other videos, they're in YouTube, and I'm happy to send you the link, or you can also do search in YouTube on digital authors and what's the name? Masterclass book marketing, because every video and every class build up on each other. So we have to understand first who's our readers, and then we have to understand all the technical stuff, like how to find the readers with keywords and hashtags and so on. And then lastly, with this knowledge, we can create like a perfect cover design to really, talk to our readers and kind of pitching them, just with a few seconds with our cover design. So anyway, today we talk about the cover design and the branding. So, and to introduce us, my name is Wiebke. I'm originally from Germany, from Berlin, Germany. I founded the self-publishing agency Digital Authors. I provide like international self-publishing services, and yeah, I'm going to talk about today about the cover design for your books.
And I'm Pooja Arshanapalli. I'm the founder of The Novice, where I help authors, business coaches, anyone who has a business to utilize social media to establish themselves as an expertise, as well as I also help authors use their book's content and be able to repurpose it into different mediums. So we're here to talk about the importance of book cover design, the layout, and the importance of social media post design, especially when you're promoting a book. We're going to show a couple of different examples, case studies on why the design aspect is important, and also understand how to determine the right kind of branding for your specific book.
So yeah, and I'm going to start talking about the cover design and why it's so important. So first of all, it's obviously why a cover design is so important, because it's really engage your reader with your content. You have a few seconds, like I think there are 2 billion books every year published through Amazon. Or was it million? I don't know. So it's a lot of books published every year through Amazon, like on a US market, on the European markets, on Asian markets, and around the world. So, and you have just a few seconds to get the attention from readers. And I feel it was never so important like today with all the social media, with shorts. Like, honestly, the concentration span from people are super low. So you have to have like a good cover and you have to catch them right away. Yeah, like I said, so the book cover is usually the first thing a potential reader sees, and it's essential that the book cover grabs the attention and communicate what the readers is looking for. So this can be like a pain point if it's kind of like a nonfiction book and you help people to solve a problem, or you give them a solution of something they're looking for, which is super, super important. Like I said, in nonfiction books, and I know like a lot of people like coaches and self-employed people who offer a service. For them it's super important because they offer a service and they offer usually like a solution of some kinds, and like how-to guidance and so on. So, and especially for those type of books, it's important to have this message even mirrored in the cover. So for this reason, like a well-designed cover, it's super important to grab the reader's attention in a few seconds.
So similar to like book cover design, I would say social media, a lot of their platforms can be very saturated, and there's a lot of people who will want to get your attention in a matter of seconds. So it is really important to make sure that your posts are visually appealing and is able to communicate your message and the value of your book to that specific audience that you're trying to reach, and being able to get a loyal following based on the promotion on social media, and be able to get like, I think specifically with branding, it can help you increase your engagement with readers, but also build a loyal following and be able to, I think for social media, it's a lot longer when it comes to, compared to other types of marketing, but it does give you access to increase your reach to a huger audience, or access to more of a bigger audience than you normally would have if you went out and like networked, or if you went on podcast on other types of marketing.
So how to brand yourself as an author with your cover, especially with your book cover. Yeah, so this is like 9 points which are super important for your branding. And first is consistency. So this is especially important if we have like more than one book. You want to keep your branding consistent. You know, you don't want to have like a cover which is like green, the first book is green, the second book is yellow, and so on, and has super different symbols and stuff. So you really want to keep it consistent. And also I would suggest, it's just something, in German we say Wiedererkennungswert, which is one word. It's just that other people also recognize, okay, this book is from this author, and her social media, it's kind of matching the branding, and people know, okay, this is this author, this is this message. So consistency is super important. The second point is simplicity. So don't overdo it. Don't put too many elements on it. Don't do too many butterflies or flowers or whatnot. Keep it simple, but also for you to understand what's best for your cover, you really have to understand your reader. So, and I can't amplify this even more, that you really have to first understand your reader, to also understand which kind of cover they are drawn to, and how to reach them. And just a side note, even if you have the most beautiful cover and the cover is just perfect and you hired some professional and it looks just amazing, but if you haven't put in the right keywords, for example, people can't find you, or people people who are not your target group going to find you, and so on. So this is just to remember, like putting in the right keywords, putting your book in the right categories, do some research. What people also searching is super, super important. And for this regards, I recommend like watching our other video to have like a solid, foundation, to then have a beautiful cover and really like engage with people. The third point is emotion. And this is something also super important. If you're able to awake some emotion with your cover, to let's say you wrote a book about grief and how to overcome grief. So if you have a cover which really like captured this like this emotion and really capture in a few seconds kind of like a release, and address the people who want to like heal their grief, and I don't know, give kind of a solution within your images, this would be fantastic. So this is just an example how you can use emotions. The other point is differentiations. So be different, like, and this is a little bit like a tricky thing. You have to stay within your genre. You have to, if you, for like, let's stay with nonfiction. If you are a nonfiction writer, don't use elements for like a thriller or a romance book. You have to stay in your genre, but at the same time, don't copy people, like be different, like also like develop your own branding and your own kind of style, and stick with it. The fifth point is storytelling. Tell a little story in your cover. And this sounds a little bit, I know this whole list sounds probably a little bit overwhelming, but it's kind of simple. It's kind of, it's more or less the same like with emotions. It's tell a story, capture something which really resonate with your book, which really like present your whole book in just an image. And with this, you are able to tell a little story. For example, let's say like you have a nonfiction book about grief. Why not capture a woman who's sitting on a chair and her head is down and she's like obviously grieving, and like within a few seconds, this story or this image tells a story. And this image then also resonates with people who are also interested in like, how to solve grief or how to go over this process and so on. The 6 points, user experience. So also do your research, see what other books in your genre, which kind of cover they have. What are people saying to this? Like go on Amazon, look a little bit around in your genre, in your niche, and then start reading the reviews. And often you get a feeling what people like or dislike. within this cover. And I feel it's actually easier in Germany to do this because people are more like direct with what they're not like. And within the US culture, it's more polite. So for the German research, I recommend going on like Thalia or Hugendubel or Amazon to do some, get the idea what your reader's looking for. Innovation, yeah, like it's also a little bit like differentiation, like be new, do something, like develop your own branding and your own style. Have your own brand messaging, which is also like, obviously be unique, but also stay within your genre. And last but not least, the pain point. That is super, super important, and never underestimate what the pain point is and how you can capture this. So if you understand your reader, you understand what they're looking for, you understand what they're missing, and you, with your book, you want to provide them the solution. And once you really understood the pain point, it's kind of like everything else falls into place, because you understand what they're looking for, you understand the message, and then you can just like talk to your graphic designer and capture this in a beautiful cover. So I brought you some examples of different cover designs. They're all self-published. And let's do a little. So let me ask what you see. Like if someone wanna like jump in and let us know what they see in this cover, this would be amazing. How does this cover like appears to you? What is the story about this book? Just to see the cover, just regards the cover.
I would offer, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, great. I would offer, appears obviously someone in a spacesuit. So even though the title is Martian, there's some mystery about it because it would appear that this is someone from Earth, maybe encountering the Martian. But then there's also with the smokiness and the colors, indicates that there's probably some kind of issue or struggle that happens within the story.
Yeah, perfect. And this is a perfect example how like just an image of the cover already tells a story, right? It's amazing. And you already can see like it's awakes some emotion a little bit, like this uncomfort, like there is something happening, something uneasy. So yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have here the next self-published, very successful self-published book, the 4-Hour Workweek from Timothy Ferris. Someone wants to let us know what they see on this cover.
I can offer a thought here. The green in the trees and in the 4-hour, the green usually represents growth and money as a color that people relate that color to. So I could see why they designed it that way, like suggesting 4 hours, you're still going to make money and have growth. And orange usually relates to youth and fun. So like the hammock being orange and some of the other text being orange. That's my take on it. Plus it's just a really simple design. Gives you that beach vibe, a very chill design to it.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. This is so true. Like the orange, the color is super important, and the orange really like tells a story about like this layback. There's someone in the comments said how to work less and live more. And this is really what this cover like captured. So yeah, and it's super simple, but it tells so much. Like, and this is also something to remember, that you don't have to like overload the cover to have a great cover. It's also sometimes in the simple things lies like great value. Yeah. Okay, this is like the second last self-published, very successful self-published book. I don't know, you know this. The author published this book, I think even like in the 50s or 60s. And it sold so many copies, and it's self-published. So does someone want to say something about this cover?
I'd say very familiar with this one, and it's just simple, you know, and the word joy, of course, sticks out. So if you've heard of it, if you know of it, like it'd be easy to spot and pick out at a bookstore, or just even in your own personal cookbook collection.
Yeah, and it's
Good point, Keith. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so like I said, it's so long, like it's so old. It's published in I think like 50 or 60, and it has this simple minimalistic design, which was even back then, it's like it was very rare. So it has this like, you know, just straightforward, gives the information what's about, and it worked. So in the last cover, this is from like an Australian author. This is a novel, also self-published. Does someone want to share what they see on the cover?
I can so for me, I can see like different arrows. So when I think of it, I think of like someone is going on a road trip when I see different arrows. Or like I think of a journey that someone is going to embark, because I see there's two characters at the bottom and one person is riding a bike. So that's that.
All right, I mute them. Okay.
So that's usually what, like, that's the context that I see. So it's like someone going on a journey is what pops into my mind.
This is such a perfect example, because I also we did this webinar a few months ago, and today I had to like research again what this book was about, and it's actually like a love story. And I couldn't see it in the cover. So this is actually a perfect example how, like, this is a beautiful cover, and it's a New York bestseller. But the cover, yeah, it doesn't 100% capture that's a love story. If you know it, you can see it, because okay, the story is about like a professor, and he has like issues to find a mate, and he's like going on a journey. So there has this journey element, but it's mostly about like a love story. So yeah, thank you so much, Pucha. So now, after we saw some like how to create some amazing covers for your book adventure, and especially like if you're a self-publisher, and now let's talk about 5 common mistakes you really have to avoid when creating your own cover, or if you hire someone, and if you don't work with a publisher and you go self-publishing. So the 5 common mistakes is like poor image quality, which means really using cheap images, download them somewhere from the internet. Also, if you use like images from the internet, make sure you have the copyright and the license to use it. This is super important. You can get like in big trouble if you don't do this. The second point is the clutter design. So like overly busy, too many like symbols. We talked about this before, because this makes it difficult for the reader to understand your message, the genre, and what's about. The third point is the typography. If it looks like very unprofessional, it's like all over the place, kind of like, Windows 98 style, very cheap and just not appealing at all. Inconsistency in the overall design. This is another no-go. Point number 4 is like, stock photos. If you put so much work in writing a book, doing all the editing, finding ways how to publish this, then also use some money and really get some decent photos or make some decent photos, and don't use stock photos because so many people use stock photos, and you don't want to end up having a cover with like the same photos from other books or social media posts or from websites and so on. So invest a little bit of money and using some decent photos, or make some decent photos for sure. And then last but not least, inconsistent branding. Lack of consistency in design elements, such as color, fonts, the overall style, can look also very cheap and unprofessional. And especially if you're a nonfiction author and have your own business and you're self-employed, it's also kind of like it has to match your branding, and it's kind of it shows also your business. It's like a representation of your business. So make sure you have like a decent overall good design and wonderful cover and interior layout. So now we have, I found some covers, the actual book covers, where you can see how not to do it. And I don't know if someone wants to maybe like talk about what they see in this cover and how the overall design appears to them. It's a safe space. We can judge. We are allowed to judge.
I can include my thoughts. So for Pride and Prejudice, I haven't read the book, but I know like the concept, and I know it's like there's a lot of couples or people who fall in love. And I feel like from this photo, it doesn't really come across that they're in love. The contact, the way that they look, I don't even know if they're looking at each other, or it just feels very awkward. And it feels like they're like two different images just like put together. That's what it feels like. So it just feels very awkward because there's no tension between the two characters. And I think like maybe in this context, they could probably be like look like they're in love. Maybe in another book, it could be like they could be angry at each other. But yeah, it just feels like the characters are disconnected from each other.
For
I
sure.
feel like it looks backwards compared to a traditional cover design, because usually I think of having the title at the top and the author's name at the bottom.
Yeah, this is actually, yeah.
I even
right.
feel with color, like even the title's kind of lost. It's not contrasting enough with the background, and the typeface just looks strange to me. For Pride and Prejudice, I mean, it clearly is gonna sell regardless of what covers on it because of how classic it is. But I'm sure that they have numbers on what covers sell better than others, even within such a well-known series.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like just the font, it looks so, I don't even have a word for it. Like it just reminds me on Windows 98, where you and also everything is blue, like Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. It's it's not really kept showing. And also the images, it seems like it's kind of like it's kind of like an animation of some kind. And it looks just cheap. Like overall, it's kind of like a cheap appearance. Yeah, let's see the next cover. So I don't know, you know, Franz Kafka, he's very well known in Germany. He wrote the book, the Metamorphosis, in German, what was this in German? Die Wandlung, die Verwandlung. And so if you don't know the story, it's basically, it's about a guy who transformed into a bug. And then he had to live in his house and was like immense and couldn't leave his room anymore. And like his sister and mother gave him food and so on. And this is a book about the metamorphosis. And Franz Kafka, he's one of the best authors ever seen. So I don't know about this cover, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this? And let me know
It's
if
like
you know.
a Pixar movie poster.
Do you know this book, Franz Kafka?
No. But I'm sure I'm going to have nightmares tonight from looking at it.
Yeah. And it's kind of a bummer because this book is amazing, but this cover is you know, it doesn't really invite people to dig a little bit deeper into the story.
I think for me, that cover would probably be like, I think of like National Geographic or like someone who's interested in bugs would want to read that book. And I think of like nonfiction in that sense of like someone who's like wants to be more educated on a certain topic of a bug. But like for a story, I don't think I want to see the visual of it. Like I want to know more about the story. So I feel like if it was more of like an animation or an illustration showing like maybe a man turning into a bug, like that would be more, I would be more willing to see that compared to seeing like a huge visual of a bug.
Yeah, and it really like shows how mismatched this cover is and to the actual story. Because yeah, like you said, it can also be a book about bugs or someone is interested in like insects. Yeah. So the next cover, what are your thoughts on this?
It looks like something I've seen in a thrift shop to pick up for, you know, pick up for a nickel or 10 cents. Yeah, I mean, again, typeface, choice of color, it just looks very outdated.
Yeah. Sorry? Can you say this again a little bit louder? Okay, maybe this is like
Colors remind me of the 60s or 70s for some reason. I don't know if that's when it was published or not. I'm thinking not from the ripped jeans, but
interesting, yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, and I feel like like Alison said, like the different colors really not matching. There's like in the subtitle, there's like a red, then there's a green, then there's this black with this white shadow. And for me, the overall design, it looks like a flyer. It looks like a flyer of like, let's go to an art show. Free entry, free beer, something like this.
Yeah.
So this is the last cover in our How Not to Do It series. And I don't know who recognized this picture. This woman with this hand, this colorful hand, and a lot of like color in her face. Have you seen this picture before? No. I saw it. I used it actually. This picture is from stock image, like from some like license-free website. And I used this picture actually for a lot of like social media posts. I used it on my old blog. So I know I'm very familiar with this picture. And this is just another example of don't use stock images because, you know, if someone, because it's just not unique and it just doesn't show your branding. It's just like a copy paste, making a cheap cover. And yeah, and again, it looks more like a flyer than a cover like the cover before as well. So yeah. So now let's talk about the secret of an irresistible self-published book cover design. First of all, super important, and we saw like the different examples, visual appealing. Your cover really should be like an eye-catching image or have like an eye-catching design to grab the attention of your potential readers. And a high-quality image or illustration that people really can relate to your book genre is super important. And I would even say, if you are not like a graphic designer or you're really into like graphic designs and doing your own graphics and so on, hire someone. Invest a little bit of money and really hire someone and get it done professionally. Because like I said, if you put so much work into a book, don't save money on the cover because this is really like your door, like your threshold to reaching people. The cover design and the right keywords, actually. Genre relevance. So this is also super important. Just a little anecdote. Someone reached out this year to me and asked me, hey, my book is not selling. Can you have a look? And he was actually like a thriller author. So he wrote like 9 books and all about, you know, in the genre thriller. And then his latest book was a nonfiction book, but he used the same element as for thrillers. So he didn't really did any market research on what's this genre about and how the cover should look like. And the cover like was just a mismatch of his genre. So you need to understand really your genre and you need to use those elements because your readers are familiar with this kind of style and they want to see those styles and then they know what the book is about, and you're just like inviting potential reader to have like a deeper look on your publication. So super important, understand your genre and use those elements within your genre. The other point is clear typography. I think I butchered this word, typography. Anyway, and we saw this in the examples, like the first one from Jane Austen, for example. It's just looks cheap and not good. And so make sure your title, subtitle, your author's name and everything looks good, it fits in an overall style, and it's just appealing.
I have a question on this. Does the entire, I had a publisher that I ended up firing after one of my 2 books, and then the second book I had someone helping me with, and they said the whole title does not have to go on the front cover. Is that correct? Because I had a really long title.
Like maybe the subtitle, but the title needs to go on the book, yes, because it's it's the first thing your readers see, so it needs the title and the author's name for sure. If you have like a super long subtitle, not necessary, but it's also depend on your genre. Which kind of genre are you publishing in?
It was nonfiction. I've already published it. The full title is The ABCs of Living Independently When You Are Older or Frail. And the person that was helping me said that it was enough to just put the ABCs of Living Independently and then to put the full title on the cover page inside.
Yeah, I think it's important to put the full title in, because also just like the half title didn't really explain in full for whom this book is. And it's kind of like missing the target group, because it's not for everybody, right? You have like
Right.
your
Well, the picture definitely made up for that. It was a young hand holding an older hand. So
okay.
as far as cover design goes, that finished the story.
Yeah, I mean, there's no law how to do it, right? You can like basically do what you want, but it's you know, it makes more sense putting the whole title on it. It's clearer for the reader as well, what's about. And even if it's captured in an image, but I would recommend putting the whole title on it.
Okay. I will create shorter titles from now on.
But even if you have long title, like some long title, I know books that have like such a long titles. Actually, especially like in the European market, they're like long. They have more long titles than shorter titles, and it's also works well. So it's always depend on a book. And for nonfiction, like long titles also working better than for fiction. So next point, composition. This is also like a super, super important point to consider, is like having a nice overall composition. And we talked about this before, like don't put too many like elements on it, have a clear message. Like just this example before from Stephanie, like, you know, it's a book about older people, and having this hand, like a young hand and old hand, it's like creates this overall competition. I didn't saw this cover, but it's a nice example. And balance everything out, you know, between the text, image, and just create like an overall pleasant design, which talks or addresses the readers perfectly. And I think this is the last point, brand consistency. So super important, maintain consistency in your cover design with the rest of your author brand. If you have, like, if you do social media marketing, you self-publish your book and then you do social media marketing, have kind of like the same branding. For example, I know an author, she published a book about grief and like emotional like healing and stuff, and her cover was more like in a black and white theme. And then she have in Instagram, she used like have like one black image with a quote and then white image with a quote, and then she builds this up and it looks like her cover. So this is kind of like, it can be simple, you don't have to like be Dali or, you know, you can like keep it simple but keep it consistent.
Okay, so I'm gonna be focusing on social media. I would say when it comes to social media, especially when you are promoting your book, social media is a good way to promote it because it also gives you a visual aspect to promotion. And I would say a lot of people buy on book cover design. So as well as like being able to promote it on social media is also important as well, because you could be missing out on an opportunity for people to see. So I'm here to just give you simplistic designs. So if you're doing it yourself or you're wanting to hire someone, you have an idea of what makes a good social media post and how to communicate your book effectively to people. So I'm just going to give you simplistic things to consider. So the first thing, it must be visually pleasing to the eyes. So similar to like it has to have a good image resolution. It shouldn't be blurry, the images. Another thing is visually pleasing. It shouldn't be confusing to the person. So you should have like at least like one focus that you want your person to look at. Like, what is one thing you want your audience to look at on that social media post? Or what is one concept do you want your audience to take away? And I think the reason why I say that is I think a lot of people just want to put a lot of information because they want to provide value. And I think sometimes we don't need to put it all in one post or in one slot. And especially if there's so many things that you want someone to do at one time, it can make them a lot more confused. And when someone is confused, it's a lot harder for them to make a decision. And when someone sees a post, you want them to make a decision. And it doesn't have to be right now a book sale, but like a decision could be like, oh, I like this book and I want to check out your Instagram profile from seeing this book. Or I want to click on your Amazon link to view the book. So the second one is a clear message. So having a consistent messaging, I would say like when it comes to promoting a book specifically, the messaging should focus on the book and what you're trying to convey in the book and what your audience is like struggling with. That is having clear messaging. You don't want it to contradict each other because again, you don't want your readers to be confused. The third is having consistent branding on graphics. As we stated before, being able to brand, you want to be able to, if someone looks at your book, you want to have the same type of colors and branding on your social media graphics as well, so they don't get confused on the promotion. And the fourth is it has to be relevant to your target audience. So the stuff that you're talking and the messaging that you're talking on your social media posts has to relate to the target audience on to your book that you're promoting, because it could be really good content, but if it's not tailored to that specific audience, then that messaging gets lost. And you're not able to hit the market that you want to target. The fifth one is telling a story. I think because social media is a long-term investment, there's like, you want to, before you even start launching the book, you want to start building a loyal audience. So one way to build and nurture an audience is by telling your story and talking about personal stories. Because social media, it's a social media platform. So you want to be social and start talking with people, building connections. And one easy way to do that is by telling a story. The sixth is a call to action. You want to make it clear to tell someone what they should be doing after they see the posts. Again, it doesn't have to be directly book sales. It could be like, hey, check out my website, or giving a teaser about, like if you're wanting people to pre-order, you can easily give someone a link to pre-order your book on Amazon. And the seventh one, I don't know if this gets talked about a lot, but it also, I would say this is optional, but it is a very effective way when it comes to social media posts, is having the posts presented at the right time. I would say, so I can give you one example. I know this doesn't directly relate to social media, but one time I talked with a financial advisor, and he told me that one of his best marketing strategies was him renting a booth to like wedding events, or like before someone gets married, he would like go to different wedding booths and talk about his services. He noticed that before someone gets married, that's one of the biggest financial decisions that they would have to make. But even before that, there's also, if they have a partner, they could also choose to combine finances with that person. They could invest in a house, a car. There's like so many different financial decisions that they have to make before they even get married. So he's getting them before they even make those financial decisions. And when they make those financial decisions, they are going to think of this person. So being able to catch someone before they even want the book could be helpful. And I would say on social media, one thing that I've done is I've like before, I would say like going to Facebook groups or going to LinkedIn posts or going to different events that relate to your target audience. And like I've definitely started like reaching out to people through that. So it's kind of like hitting different touch points and being able to provide like the right messaging at the right time. It's definitely hard to do, but if you know your audience really well, you're going to be able to understand like the different touch points of what your audience is facing at a certain time. Okay, so before I show you the post, I wanted to give different examples of like posts, and I wanted to get your feedback on whether or not it provides a good, clear explanation or a good post based on the context that I give you. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical book that we're pretending to launch out. So let's say I'm planning to launch out a book that is going to be a nonfiction book that is talking about the dangers of unhealthy eating. And I want to show you a couple of different social media posts or visual posts. And I want to hear your opinions on whether you feel like if you saw this post, does this either capture your opinion or does this feel like it is cohesive with the book that I'm trying to promote? Okay, so the first post is this. And again, to give you context, my book is to promote the dangers of unhealthy eating. Do you feel like this post conveys this message?
I don't think it does, because I think it misses what the danger or the bad side is of it.
Okay.
It's a great attention grabber for sure. Like,
Yeah.
if I were following you and I know what you're doing or not doing, it may be a little out of the ordinary compared to your normal message. So that may be what grabs my attention and makes me look at it further.
Yeah. So the one point that I was trying to make is it could be a really good visually pleasing graphic, but if it contradicts the book that you're trying to post or like the messaging of the book, the message will get lost. So it's kind of trying to convey like the consistency within branding as well, like the messaging, the colors, the book design, and making everything consistent so people don't get confused when you're trying to promote your book. Here's another example. With the same book that we're trying to promote, do you feel like this conveys the consistent message?
So if the book is about healthy eating habits and they're showing like a fast food burger, obviously it's very contradicted, like you said before. But those two different images, like they're consistent
Yeah.
in their branding, but it's still missing the point of the book.
Right. So that's, again, it's similar to the last, like they do. So like if this was a different, like, let's say we were promoting like good food to eat, or like I think of like Burger King whenever I see this, like it's a really good promotion for Burger King, or like the type of food, it's really good for that. But if you are talking about the dangers of unhealthy eating, this like definitely contradicts it, even though these are good visuals and it's a good way to capture someone's attention. So I wanted to, based on the same book, I'm going to say this is option 1 and option 2. Which option would you prefer? If you are, which one would you capture? Like, which one do you prefer out of the 2 options?
This is a tough one because I feel like option 1 kind of is indicating moderation. She's taking a little bit, but she's saying stop. Whereas number 2, he's like, oh, I didn't know this was wrong to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for this, they both are good images, but the message could be very different. So I think it's really based on preference, based on the person. But I think as we talked about in the past webinars, knowing your audience, I think for social media, like one thing is social media, you can easily test out things. So I think like for like specifically for social media, because I think sometimes like for some of the platforms, the posts don't last that long. And so you can always test out and see what is performing well and what isn't. Some people may prefer the first option and some people may prefer the second option, but the only way to know what works is until you put something out there and see the reaction that people get. And then being able to see the analytics of the performance of some of the books. And then obviously, like I'm not a book designer, but I just wanted to provide another option of like an actual book. So also another thing is like the previous graphics, I would say like those are probably more like teasers. But like for a book, being able to have like a tagline or being able to have a call to action or a clear call to action also helps convey a message as well. Especially when it comes to like the actual promotion of the book, you want to have a clear call to action so you know what someone should do or what someone should go to when they see a certain post. Okay, so for this, I was looking at different authors and their promotion of their specific books, and I just wanted to have like your opinions on whether you feel like this was a good enough post that provided enough context. Just want to, before we go into the opinions, I want to explain what the book is about. So Sam Horan, she is an author. She's a nonfiction author that focuses on communication. So like setting like healthy boundaries with people, as well as she does a lot of copywriting and short, catchy slogan copywriting for people. The book reference is POP, and that's specifically for copywriting, how to create good taglines for people. And in the context of the caption or the context of the post, it reads, "Are you capturing your customers' exclamations?" Do you feel like this post conveys the message, or would you be able to understand what she's trying to promote based on this post?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the first webinar as well, and I was like thinking, I still don't get it, but maybe this is also like a culture different thing. I mean, I get it, but I still this didn't really speaks to me. And also there's this your is doubled. Are you capturing your customer exclamations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like it really, because like I think the point I'm trying to make is like you don't have to be an excellent graphic designer in order to get people's attention. You have to just know your audience really well and be able to have a clear message in your colors, your design, and in your messaging in order for people to attract people. So I'm going to do another one. So her book is called Talking on Eggshells, and it's how to set boundaries with people. The post reads, lose ghost words, choose host words. And this is just a quote from her book. Do you feel like this would intrigue you? I know this is more of a teaser to her book. Do you feel like this would entice you to know more about the book she's trying to promote?
It's definitely awake some curiosity. So because I want to understand more, like what she means with this kind of concept and with this quote, or what's this concept behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say like this graphic, it's very simplistic where it's just like a simple ghost, and then it's just like I think like when I first saw this, I would say like the quotes intrigued me more than the visuals itself. And that's where my focus was at. I was just curious of like, what are ghost words or what are these definitions? And that just intrigued me more to read more about this book. Okay, so if you do choose to use social media as a way to promote your book, I'm here to explain why branding yourself is important and why you should do that. So the reason why branding is important when it comes to promoting your book is the one thing is it helps with credibility and reputation. As I said before, if you don't have you want your book to be memorable, and when you promote it, you want the consistency as well on other platforms that you want to promote it, because it reduces the confusion. So for example, I know this example is going to be very, very random. So let's say you are promoting a book on unhealthy eating, and then on your LinkedIn page, it says that you're a plumber. And then on your Instagram page, it says that it talks about like you're a travel influencer. You can see how confusing that is to someone who wants to see the promotion of your book. Obviously, like that's such a random example, and it's not going to be that random for a lot of people. But if someone is going to see your social media, your website, if you are a speaker, someone's seeing your like different videos on YouTube, they want to see a consistent chain on all of those. And that increases credibility that you are knowledgeable about that certain topic, and it increases your reputation. And the more credible you are, the more inclined for someone to want to buy into that as well. And next thing is like a distinct identity. So if you're talking about a specific topic, being able to focus on one specific topic will help you also create reputation or create an expertise as well. And it's also like within social media, because it's saturated, it helps you get a bigger focus and a bigger audience because you're able to focus on something. And specifically with social media, for this specific marketing, it's more inbound. So it's more building relationships heavy and nurturing. So it is a long-term investment, but you want it to work where when you're providing value, people are coming to you instead of the other way around. I would say like other like outbound marketing, you are going out and reaching those contacts, but you want you want it to do the opposite when it comes to social media. You want to have your branding on point. You want to be known as a source of credibility and a good reputation for people to want to come to you as the proven source for that certain topic. So I know that like branding yourself, there's so many ways and so many different options on how to brand yourself. I'm just going to give you very simplistic tips on how to do it yourself. So you have a clear direction on how to do it. So I would say like there's so many different topics or so many different ways to brand. I'm just going to give you, I would say like if you're just trying to do it yourself, I would categorize it into two different topics. So one is consistency. And when I mean consistency, it's the consistency in the graphics that you are creating. And then the second one is the message. And both of them should work with each other. Consistency in the graphics is don't pick more than like 2 to 3 different colors, probably like only like 2 fonts. One logo, the logo and images should also be cohesive with everything as well. So if you have like, let's say we go back to the unhealthy eating, like you don't want an image that contradicts it, where it's like you don't want an image where the person likes eating a burger if you're trying to promote unhealthy eating. So everything should be consistent with the messaging and the colors, as well as the message. So the message could consist of the mission statement. So the mission statement of the book that you're trying to create. The content pillars. So within social media, you want to be able to, before you do the promotion or direct sales of promoting your book, you want to nurture an audience. So one way to do that is to have content pillars, which is 3 to 5 different ideas on a certain subject or topic that you can talk about and be able to provide value for your audience. And then the last is being able to hit those pain points. Similar in the book cover design, I think it's very similar. You want to be able to hit those pain points in the books that you're trying to promote. It's very easy for people to catch people's attention, especially in that target audience that you're trying to target. So I had examples of different branding. So I created a hypothetical audience. So I would say that this specific person is a wellness coach, and she is targeting women in their 40s, balancing their time working as well as spending time with their families. And the thing that they're struggling with is they feel bad for spending time on themselves. So there's like one post that I created, which was detoxify your life with the power of a stretch. So this is a wellness coach creating a picture of like someone stretching, and then detoxify your power with a stretch is like finding different ways to be able to spend time for yourself, but it doesn't feel like it's taking away from your family. Is one picture, and it's like one way to reduce stress. I created a second post, so following up with like a content pillar. So another post that I created within this hypothetical person is a mindful tip. So it's just giving them a tip of the day of like maybe having 15 minutes to focus on your breath or doing deep breath exercises. And it's not taken away from the first comment. It's not the same exact post, but it is cohesive with the same message that we're trying to focus on. And then in the visual graphics, we're using the same type of templates. So you can see that there's like half circles. So we're maintaining consistency with the branding, but it does feel like the posts are different from each other as well. I'm so sorry about this.
It's all good.
Okay.
Okay, and last but not least, to wrap it all up, the do's and don'ts for branding your book, for your book cover design, or yeah, so the don'ts, it's really publishing a cover that doesn't speak to your readers, right? Like cheap overall design, publishing a cover that doesn't really fit in your genre, using like funky fonts and colors, which may not be appealing. And, you know, just didn't even get like a professional, maybe like feedback or something. You're just like randomly publishing something. And the do's, what to do is really understand the common design factors in your genre, because every genre is different. Portray your reader's pain point on the cover or their emotion or what are they really like drawn to, and use relevant images for your genre or in your genre. And really highly recommend get it professional done. Except you are like a graphic designer yourself, or like your brother or spouse or whoever is like a graphic designer, but if not, like invest some money and get it like professional done.
Okay, so for branding yourself on social media, one thing is I know I talked about talking about personal stories. So I think one thing is I feel like people may feel like they have to put everything on social media. I would put stories that you feel comfortable. Don't feel like you have to overshare in order to get people to get attention. You don't want to feel like you like, especially if you like confess to someone, you don't want to feel like you overshared with someone. You want to feel like you feel comfortable about the stories that you share with people. Another thing is don't focus solely on promotional material, especially with social media. When you're doing organic content, you want to build a relationship with the person, and you want to build a loyal following. So I would definitely create different types of posts that create value to the audience that you're trying to focus. And then the last one is don't put too much information. You don't want to confuse your audience. You want them to make a clear action if they are interested in the topic or interested in the graphic. The things that you could do is simplify your graphics and message. Make sure that when they see it, they have a clear action or clear thing that they want to do out based on that post. Being authentic, so being able to communicate and be personable about what you do and why you want to do, like why you want to promote this specific book. The third one, I don't think I covered this much, but when it comes to social media, you really want to engage. Posting is one part of it, but engaging with other people within your audience is also very important, because you want to build a relationship with the audience that you're trying to target. The fourth is to define your brand. So I think it's similar, where you want to have simplified graphics and messaging, but you also you want to make sure that your mission statement and everything, like your graphics, your messaging, all of it's consistent with that core message that you're trying to promote. And then the last is to choose the right platforms to show up. So I know that this is specifically with this is talking about branding, but not every platform that you show up is going to have your core audience. So just be mindful of to save you time in the long end, try to figure out where your audience is at in the different platforms that you have.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And like I said, also feel free to listen to the other webinars we have. I also encourage you, if you want to sign up for my newsletter on www.digital/authors.com, and I'm going to send out the recordings there for sure. And yeah, and also follow us on, where are we? LinkedIn. And yeah, if you need help with publishing, feel free to reach out to me. And if you need any help with social media marketing, feel free to reach out to Pucha for sure. And thanks so much for being here, and have a beautiful day and night wherever you are.